Lisa's Easy Kitchen. I have Carlo Gambale, grocery manager from Nardini Specialty in Stony Creek. So this is something that really comes together in, like, I'm going to say 3 minutes. You put it in the refrigerator, and then in the morning you pop it in your oven, and it makes for a wonderful brunch for Christmas Day. And if you were here right now, you would get this wonderful aroma from this beautiful panettone classico.
Si.
What makes it oh, you speak Italian too.
Un poco, sì.
So what makes this classico?
Traditionally, they have the raisins and then the candied fruit peels, orange, lemon, and that's the traditional panettone that you got to understand, the classico as they call it. This one was created from Angelo Motta. It's been around since 1919. So
Wow.
a lot of the Italians probably grew up on this one. It's one of the first ones that were ever really produced for the consumers.
Now there's so many price points really when it comes to panettone. But you can tell already by looking at it, the aroma, this one's very different from the other ones. That might not be, in the same price range.
Yeah, it all with the ingredients. You want to have butter, you want to have egg yolks, you don't want to avoid the powdered stuff. You can not to avoid it, but that's where you're going to get the quality ingredients, and that's what elevates the price.
Right. I'm going to cut it into cubes. So you could use fresh panettone like we have here. Or if you have leftover panettone from, the Christmas gifts and so on, you can combine some. So I made one with Pandoro and the Classico. So you could leave this out to dry out a little bit. You could either rip the cubes apart like this, or you can cut. I know, exactly. So it's really up to you. If you don't have time to let it dry out a little bit, you could pop it in the oven. Very low oven, maybe 250. Here, you can slice up these ones as well. You want about 10 cups of cubed panettone. There you go. And I don't mind the crust. I think it gives it extra flavor, and the coloring is so pretty on it. Yeah, and the cubes, you decide what size. Bite size works for me. Yeah. And if you don't have this classical one, like I said, you can just use the Pandoro. I think I would avoid using cream filled for this recipe, just because it does get baked in the oven, and you don't know exactly how that cream is going to react in the oven. So I have 2 trays full. I think that's about enough. That's about 10 cups, I'm going to guess. And this rest here, well, I'm sure we'll figure something
Find some use.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's tidy up, and I'll show you how to make the custard part.
All right.
So we're ready to make the custard portion of the French toast. Typically when you make French toast, you dip your bread in a batter of egg and vanilla and a little bit of milk, but this is going to be extra rich because it's Christmas Day. So I'm going to ask that you butter this baking dish here. So we have unsalted butter. It's always best to use unsalted butter with your baking. And I'm going to crack 10 eggs. Yeah, that's a lot of eggs. But this particular dish is going to serve, I'm going to say at least 10, 12 people, depending what else you have on your brunch table for Christmas Day morning. So in this, I've got 10 eggs. I'm just going to give them a quick whisk. So because the panettone is already pretty sweet, you don't want your custard overly sweet, right? So I'm going to add maybe a tablespoon or so, not too much, maybe 2 tablespoons. You can use brown sugar, you can use white sugar, it really depends. It's completely up to you, but not too sweet because you want the panettone to shine through. So I have 2 cups, half and half cream. I wouldn't use milk just because it doesn't set and form that custard. And then it's up to you. You could add a little bit of Greek yogurt. You could add maybe a cup of Greek yogurt, maybe 3/4 of a cup. Or you can use some ricotta. Not really worried too much about the lumps in here. And we're going to flavor this up a little bit. So maybe I'm going to ask you to pass the limoncello. So you tell me, do you want to make this lemon-based or orange-based?
I love lemons.
Okay, let's do lemons. So if you wanted to switch it up, you could certainly do orange. So I would use orange zest and maybe some triple sec or some orange flavored liqueur. So you're going to add a little bit here.
As we're doing it?
As we're doing it, yeah. Maybe a couple of tablespoons. Yeah, that's good. If you didn't want to add any liqueur, then just maybe add some vanilla. That would be nice. Oh, don't you smell that?
Yes.
So we're going to add raspberries to this. So it's going to be a raspberry infused lemony baked panettone.
Smells great, and I'm sure it's gonna taste great too.
So we have the cubes of the panettone. You can leave them nice and fresh. You can toast them up a little bit. And we're just gonna dump these in. Actually, how about you do that
Sure.
one? So I have the beautiful raspberries here. So you'd like to sprinkle a few raspberries just about halfway through. And you know how much? Maybe 2 cups or so?
Sure.
Or you could do a mixture of berries. That would be lovely too. And then I'm gonna top it off with these ones. That custard, as it bakes, gets absorbed right into the panettone and makes kind of like a bread pudding, really.
Nice, can't wait.
So I always like a little bit of crunch. So I have here some turbinado sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle some. That's going to caramelize on the top and give it a really nice crunch. And I hope you noticed what I did was I just pressed it down just to make sure that every little chunk of panettone gets covered in that
Oh,
custard.
goodness.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that in the fridge at least an hour or overnight. I'm gonna cover it up and then put it in the fridge and then bake uncovered 350 degrees for about an hour. It's going to go very golden. Let's take a look at what it looks like. I pulled this out of the oven. I just let it sit maybe about 15 minutes or so. Can you smell it?
It smells amazing.
So the top part went a little,
Nice
you
and
hear
crusty.
it? Yeah, crusty because of that turbinado sugar. If you don't have that, you can just sprinkle regular sugar, that's fine too. So you could make it look even prettier by adding a little bit of icing sugar. And because of the type of breakfast item, I like to scoop this out. So you can get a nice bowl. Look at that. You can add a few more berries to it if you like. So we added raspberries here, so you might want to complement it with more raspberries. And do you like maple syrup?
Absolutely.
Okay, and a good drizzling of maple syrup. Okay, that's your piece.
All right.
I'm going to give myself a little piece as well. As it cools, it sets a little bit more, so that custard is just nice and rich. All right,
Time to dig in?
it's time to dig
All right.
in.
So warm and creamy. That is amazing.
Yeah, so the texture of the panettone has really
Yeah.
transformed.
Some crustiness and the softness of those baked in.
And the
Amazing.
custard is lovely,
Yeah, this
and
is
I love
amazing.
the little bits of the candied fruit and the raisins in there.
It all goes together so well.
Yep, I think I have to have another little piece. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode, and thank you again, Carlo. Hope you enjoyed it.